So is it possible to save $100,000 in 2 years? I think so, but it will take radical action. In today's video, I'll be showing you exactly what I did to do just that. Hey, Frank Thomas here from Wealth Generation Strategies, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over how I was able to save over $100,000 in just under 2 years. Yes, it's possible. In fact, a year later, even with market dips of about 10% in my accounts, I'm still looking to hit about $150,000 in the near future. My point is that the 10 lessons I'll be covering today are not exceptions, but what I believe to be the rules for you to successfully build rapid wealth. So let's get started. Way back in March of 2021, I set up my Questrade accounts. One was an RRSP, which stands for Registered Retirement Savings Plan, and the second is a TFSA or tax-free savings account. These two types of accounts in Canada that permit Canadians to save funds in either a tax-deferred or no tax-paid status on gains in the long run. If you live in a country other than Canada, you'll need to investigate your options, but you need to take advantage of these opportunities that your local government provides so you can either defer or eliminate taxes on revenue, simply because it just makes such a big difference in the long run, and you want every advantage you can get. Now, I didn't have a lot to put in, and in truth, I only had about $400 when I first started my Questrade account because that's all I had. But I did deposit it into Questrade knowing that it would take a few months before I could start using these accounts to purchase equities. And this leads us to our very first lesson. Start to save regardless of how much you can save. I think it's an important one to grasp as it's easy not to start. I haven't got enough, but it's best to just get started. There's 2 times in your life to plant your money tree, and that was 30 years ago or today. I didn't have enough to get started. I still contributed and got the ball rolling, and that's what's important here. This led me to an interesting discovery. Once I committed myself to saving, it became real and important to me. It taught me that it's one thing to think about it, but a totally different animal to do it. As I would eventually learn, was an important mind shift that you'll need to learn as well if you haven't yet. But I was still impatient, and this led me to my second lesson on building rapid wealth. And that second lesson is do what you have to do to raise the money. Now, I'm not saying do anything illegal, of course, but I was looking everywhere for money. I was actually astonished how much I could find once I started to look. Within a couple months, I was able to seed my accounts with over $4,000. How did I go from $400 to $4,000? This came from multiple sources, including selling a few items in my house that I wasn't using, working a few gigs, all that kinds of stuff. Even finding money literally lying around the house. Yeah, small actions can add up very quickly. Once I had seeded my accounts with enough capital, I started down the road to my third lesson. Now, the third lesson is start your financial literacy education today. I had a lot to learn to just use the Questrade platform as well as on how to invest the money. I eventually decided on what I felt was the best method for me, and that was purchasing good dividend-based stocks. I did take the time to learn what stocks I should be looking for by watching many YouTube videos. Many videos. I eventually came across a few select YouTube creators who I felt gave me advice that fit my personality and my future financial desires. I'll be sharing a few of them, and I'll tag them into the description below just in case you find value in what they teach. So take a peek down there for that. Since then, though, I've continued to advance my financial literacy bit by bit and tune my investments so they give me better results. And I've been able to improve those returns from less than 5% a year to well over 10% per year, which is incredible. And I'm sure I'll always find ways that will allow me to reach closer to that 20% mark per year. Just remember, You're always learning. You always have to be learning. The way I look at it is the more you learn, the more you earn. And really, it does come down to you. If you want to be successful, you have to figure it out. Lesson 4 I found was putting funds away for about 4 months. I had saved close to $10,000. I know it's crazy, eh? This is a lesson on consistency. I really believe this to be a superpower if such a thing exists. If you learn to consistently do something, you'll see the long-term results from it. Initially, I was only able to contribute about $400 per month, which was, I'd say 3 to 4% of my monthly gross income, which wasn't very much. Through consistency, I was able to eventually raise that between 10 to 20% per month. So as you can see, consistency has taught me to not only save consistently, but save more in a consistent basis. And that to me was a huge game changer. But honestly, the next lesson I believe is the game changer. But before continuing, if you're enjoying this video, be sure to give it a like. And if you want to see more content in the future, consider subscribing. I really do appreciate it. It gives me feedback on what you're wanting in future content. So take a second and just like the video if you're enjoying this and subscribe. Love to have you on board. Okay, lesson number 5 comes from seeing what could really boost my efforts, and that was putting any windfalls into my savings account immediately. I don't know about you, but spare money can burn a hole in my pocket before I know it, it's gone. When I would just take those funds and dump them into my Questrade account, I saw rapid growth in my balances, and that's exciting. For example, I had 20 grand sitting in another RRSP account that wasn't doing very well in returns. As a matter of fact, it was losing money. So I transferred it over to Questrade. Next, I found I had close to 10,000 sitting in a crypto wallet. I transferred that over too. Wow, what a difference. And when it comes to tax time, you guessed it, any tax refunds go right into that long-term savings. I find that it's exciting to know that those savings are still there 6 months or a year later. I was actually commenting on with my wife. I said, isn't it interesting? We got a tax refund of $7,000, I believe, last year. And I said to her, with the consistent return we've been getting, I bet you that return is worth $7,700. It's worth almost $8,000 now. And normally it would have been nothing because it would have been gone. It's amazing how you can spend money when it just comes into your hand. And yeah, I think that's an important one. Anyhow, back to the lesson number 6. And it comes out of necessity. I had to learn how to build a budget and live by that budget. I know nobody likes a budget, but you know something? If you want to learn how to rapidly save money, a budget's important, and I'm going to be telling you why. And this included my family, which was tough in the beginning, to be honest with you. I hate to say no to myself or someone else in the family, but I think it had become an important lesson for all of us. Learning to say no because there's no money allocated for that thing in the budget is a good thing to learn. And I know that keeping a budget, it's like having a tooth pulled. Nobody likes going to the dentist. We'll leave it at that. But I found it to be a necessity. If I was really serious about saving, once I got used to using my budget, this led me to the next lesson. Now, lesson number 7 is really important. That is to learn to prune your expenses. What you don't track, you don't know. And if you're tracking your expenses, you know what you're spending. And just because you're paying a certain amount every month to a certain expense, it doesn't mean that you have to pay that amount. And that's an important thing to realize. Don't be afraid to challenge every expense that you're currently paying. Did you get that? Challenge every expense. Do I need to spend that money? Can I reduce how much that costs me? A good example was just recently, I was spending about $130 a month for TV and internet services, and I felt that this was way too much. First, I barely watched TV. I watched streaming services, but TV as per TV, no, not really very much. And second, I'm looking at competitors who are offering like services for less than $70 a month. And I thought to myself, you know something? It's only a few bucks, but hey, it all adds up. So I decided to pull the pin and change that up. And I can tell you now that I'm only spending $63 per month on internet access. I literally cut that bill in half, better than in half, because 63 times 2 is 126 and I was paying almost 130. So literally in half. Now, it might not sound like much overall, but I was able to shave off more than $1,000 per month in expenses over the last year or so without giving up anything that I've missed. Even better, that $1,000 goes back into my pocket and then into my long-term savings, and I can collect money even faster. So analyze your expenses. Lesson 8 is all about sharing. I've been sharing all my results with my spouse. I can tell you that it was important for my wife to see what results we were getting with all the saving, budgeting, and not spending, because it can drive you a little loopy, to be honest with you. She's definitely gotten on board and is excited to hear the total that we have saved on a regular basis. I give her a call and say, hey, guess what, honey? We've almost saved $150,000. Can you believe it? The two of us who couldn't save $200, $150,000. That's crazy. Now, might not sound like a lot to a few of you, but it's a huge amount to me. And I know it's a huge amount to a lot of people I talk to. But this is, to me, the beginning. But this is exciting. So it gives us both a sense of accomplishment and, more importantly, a drive to stay committed for that long haul. I actually estimate that by the time I'm done working and I retire, I'll have saved close to $1 million, like definitely over 600,000, but close to $1 million. And that's not considering any windfalls that we might have. That's just consistent savings. Any windfalls that we have could easily increase that number by a few $100,000 in that time period. So it's very exciting, very, very exciting. In lesson 9, I also believe this has helped me to save rapidly. And that is I've sliced a fixed amount every month for fun money. These are funds that are there for us just to have fun and live life. You gotta continue to live life because, man, those no's can grate you down if you don't have a chance to have fun. Because we know that we're saving for a greater good, but we still need to have fun along the way. Let me give you a really good example of this. My wife, daughter, and I decided about a year or so ago, we decided to go to South Africa to visit my wife's family for a grand vacation. Because we decided to do that, we were able to steadily save what we needed for all of our expenses, all of the fun, all the money we needed. But a funny thing happened is we also didn't spend money in other areas that we would normally spend money. We would go out for supper or for some event that would cost to go in. And we decided for that year while we were saving that we wouldn't do any of that stuff. As a matter of fact, we didn't even buy Christmas presents when Christmas come because we were going to go on holidays right after. We decided, hey, let's go spend that money down in South Africa and have a blast. And that's exactly what we did. And we saved it all for the holiday. I think the end of the day, we were all on board with this plan. And it was easy. And we had a fantastic vacation. Again, lesson 8 on transparency and lesson 9 on slicing out fun money contributed to this goal. Finally, lesson 10, we're there. Taking on extra work. I decided to take some of my free time and use it constructively to earn more by going and taking on secondary gigs. Then that was extremely successful. I was able to save at least another 10 to 20,000 in that first 100,000. I believe it shaved off 3 or more months of normal savings to the fun. Wow. Not only that, it allowed me to pick up skills that I didn't have before. And now I'm benefiting professionally because of those new skills that I picked up. It's continued to allow me to raise my rates on my work, on my day job as well, which is just a win-win because now I'm earning more money and I can save more money. So if you're still here, that was a whirlwind. That was 10 tips. And I believe the top tips when it comes to saving that first 100,000. I know there's a lot of YouTubers who talk about, taking 4 to 5 years. Man, I just wanted to get this done. And I believe that these are the puzzle pieces that contributed to my ability to save rapidly. And I still follow every one of them all the time. I'm always improving my expense. I'm always trying to improve my skill set. I'm always taking on extra gigs. I'm always analyzing things. I'm always doing what I can to improve how much we save on a monthly basis. As I mentioned earlier, one day I want to get up to like 50% of my capital that I save or that I earn every month gets into my savings. That's what I'm really shooting for. That would be crazy. And the cool thing is none of them are terribly hard to incorporate into your life, and you'll find that you'll benefit positively from them. Be sure to leave any comments if you think there's other things that should be on this list. And if you're interested in learning about what I feel are my top 5 investments, be sure to check out the video that's being displayed right now. Otherwise, thanks for joining me today, and we'll talk again soon. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.